the basics of business, which is just doing good business and delivering, is what helped us launch off and start off as a company. So we thought that it's a smart decision to actually diversify into other countries. And that's how we started with UK Next. And where I came from was to directly bring the student's perspective into the business. So it's not only the education that I'm bringing back into the business, what I've learned while I was abroad, but I feel like it's more about the whole experience of actually going abroad as a student, living alone. So it's really the whole package for the student when they think of studying abroad. We help them with anything in the process, right from A to Z, and till they reach the university. I'm gonna come back and change this and change that and change a bazillion things. And yeah, then I realized that, oh my God, no, I cannot so simply do that. There are so many people in the organization that have really opened their arms and supported me, and like they advocate for my ideas, and they help me with it, and help me understand processes that maybe I wasn't aware about. And I take it upon myself to at least have two or three new things that we are trying every time we have an event.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Let's Unpack. I'm your host Anubhav, and today I'm super excited to invite our next guest, Mr. Tushar Sukhwani, Head of Innovation at Edwise International, one of India's largest foreign education consultancies. Tushar brings a very unique perspective, having worked in the study abroad industry from a very young age. His educational journey has taken him across the world in London, Boston, California, Singapore, and many other places. At Edwise, Tushar focuses on innovation by bringing student perspectives at the forefront of business decisions. Over the past 33 years, Edwise has fulfilled the dreams of more than 200,000 students who wanted to study abroad. Today, we'll talk to Tushar about the study abroad industry, his role at Edwise, the dynamics of a family-run business, and much, much more. Welcome to the show, Tushar.
Thank you, Anubhav.
So Tushar and I go back all the way to high school when we did our 11th and 12th grade together. So it kind of feels surreal that after all these years, our paths have crossed again professionally. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me. Really honored to be on this episode and looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's a pleasure. So how have you been? It's been some time. How's it going?
Yeah, I've been very good. Uh, Busy with the business. Recently attended your wedding as well, so that was a fun one.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that up. Anyway, I'll really just get right into it. I have lots of questions. I'll try to get as many as of them, across to you. But to start with, I'd like to go back to, the 90s. Can you really take us back to the early 90s when your father, Mr. Sushil Sukhwani, established Edwise? What gap in the market was he really trying to address, and what was that original vision like?
Sure. So I'll start with my father. He wanted to study abroad, and he only had 3 years in his bachelor's degree. And
Okay.
US at that time was very strict with they wanted 4 years of of an undergraduate degree, which is what they currently also have, to be eligible for a master's degree. So he ventured out to find alternatives, and he did not know, he did not have access to those alternatives sitting in Mumbai. So he reached out to the Australian embassy in Mumbai. He went to Delhi to get information on universities, and even that information was not good enough for him to actually make an informed decision about his life, his next steps, his 1 or 2 years master's degree that he was going to go on this path. So what he had the privilege of actually flying down to Australia and researching and going to the universities and research them himself. And that's how he chose his master's degree. He went to Bond University to study. And while he was pursuing his master's, he realized that this was it was a big pain that he had to go through just to decide on a university degree. Um, and that's how Edwise was actually born. He started recruiting and like educating students first within Mumbai and then within India about Bond University, and just in like doing kind of like marketing on ground about Bond University, and then it grew from there. It started with Bond, but then he started doing it for a majority of universities in Australia, and then so on and so forth. And now we work with universities all over the world.
So basically, the problem that he had, he just fixed it for many other students.
Yeah, exactly. He like because he went through that, he was able to really give that back to students who didn't know about Australian education, especially back in the 90s. It was all about US. US is still the favorite, but Australia, is also, and many other countries, in fact, provide high quality education.
So, can you tell me what were those early days like? How did students really find advice before the internet era?
Yeah, so from what I know, he used to do a lot of newspaper ads. Newspaper was the best and one of the only, media outlets out there that everyone had access to. So he used to conduct seminars and fairs at hotels, and he used to advertise that in the newspaper. And yeah, in fact, even till today, we still continue to run similar fairs. Of course, they've become much larger in scale, but it's the same concept which he used to
Hmm.
run back in 1993, which is small mini fairs advertised to students, get as many students as possible, word of mouth. I think word of mouth is still one of the most powerful, marketing tools out there for businesses. So that's how he used to do
And
it before the internet existed. Yeah.
so it's pretty cool to know that legacy media like newspapers still play a big role for advice. And it's something that's I don't think is going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Newspapers is not going anywhere. It's still a big part of his personal DNA. And honestly, we have changed our marketing strategy since now there's so many options out there, but newspapers is still a very strong one, definitely, because it currently the way I look at it is our target audience is not only students but also parents, since parents are paying the tuition fees. So they are
Yeah,
in some way
yeah.
our real customers and they're still reading newspapers. So it's not going anywhere.
So So I'll let you hold that thought for a moment because I'll come back to marketing a little later in the episode. But before that, I want to know how your international university partnerships really evolved, and were there any very concerted efforts and certain strategies that really helped you cement those relationships?
So I think the basics of business, which is just doing good business and delivering, is what helped us launch off and start off as a company. He did. My dad did start with Bond University, and then the other universities around Bond and around Australia started to get to know of this model, because it's ideally like they didn't know that this kind of marketing existed. So then they started to approach us very quickly, and so that's how we got into doing kind of study abroad counseling for Australia, and that was our first destination that we started off with. And then along while business was going, like there started coming issues, political issues and visa issues around Australia, where the visa requirements were getting a little stricter, and we weren't able to, send as many students as we could to Australia. So we thought that it's a smart decision to actually diversify into other countries. and that's how we started with UK Next. And the same way from UK, we now are doing all countries all over the world, pretty much because it's a diversification tool. The feel like the students' perception of going abroad is very different for each country now. Each country comes with its own baggage and political issues and uncertainties. So for us, the best strategy is to diversify and offer students as many options as possible because I think they should have access to it. Going abroad is going nowhere. This like the Indian student and the customer does still want to go abroad despite these uncertainties. It might not be the US or Canada, but it's now other countries.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point because, like you said, the political landscape is shifting. It's important for advice, I guess, to have backup plans and like ways to navigate these hurdles. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. I wanted to know how your study abroad experience really has contributed to your current role, that is heading innovation at Advice. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
So I felt like head of innovation is the perfect role for me because of my study abroad experience. A lot of people in this industry, a lot of businesses have actually started a long time ago, almost 20 years. And where I came from was to directly bring the student's perspective
Hmm.
into the business. And I feel like I can do that freely as head of innovation because that does not restrict me to a certain role or a certain department. For example, I am currently, innovating not only in social media but also in fairs and events, and even if it's a small business processes within the ecosystem of advice where I can actually innovate in. And I bring in not like my business experience, like I've studied bachelor's in managerial economics abroad. I've studied abroad in Boston at Bentley University, in London, London School of Economics, and I finished my master's in USC, University of Southern California. So it's not only the education that I'm bringing back into the business, what I've learned while I was abroad, but I feel like it's more about the whole experience of actually going abroad as a student, living alone, facing those challenges that students face every day, whether it's about missing home food or having access to, you know, certain things, maybe like travel hacks or student hacks, like what's the best way to pack or how to prepare while you are packing, while you are abroad, how to search for accommodation. It's these little things that, only if you've been there, done that, experienced it as a student, you can think from the student perspective. And I love bringing that to advise and the study abroad industry. That's my journey, my career is heavily dependent on bridging those gaps, which is as much as I can bring from the student perspective and make the lives of students easier. Uh, I really want to take that forward.
So you really immersed yourself in these different local environments, more than three continents, and that's like a gold mine of insights that you brought back with you. That's pretty cool. Um, just for the benefit of our audience, could you tell us about the different student-facing services that Advice offers?
So at Advise, we offer not only the counseling, the traditional counseling, which is educating and helping students with their decisions to study abroad, but we go much further than that. We help them with visas, with accommodations. We also help connect them with alumni if they need to speak to any students already studying or have studied from the destinations with their decisions. And we also help students with their finance, with their travel. So with finance, I mean helping them open with a bank account abroad or before they go, with their SIM cards. And also before they apply, we help them with training. We conduct IELTS, PT, GMAT, GRE coaching in our centers as well. So it's really the whole package for the student when they think of studying abroad. We help them with anything in the process, right from A to Z, and till they reach the university.
it's basically a full stack solution, and Advice is that one stop destination for any student who wants to go abroad for education. And that's the pitch, really, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Okay. So, moving on, I want to touch upon some of the family business dynamics aspect of your contribution and your role at Advice. So, and it's true that, when we were young as well, I have seen it myself. We've been around Mr. Sushil, and I just want to touch on that and ask you, in what ways do you think has growing up around the business given you unique insights into where Advice probably needed to evolve? Has that come up in conversations, or have you experienced that yourself now that you're actually working in Advice?
So many times, and I think that's where I think I've got a really unique experience growing up in the business as well as being a student while we were in school together during the 11th and 12th. So, like, we were applying to colleges abroad at that time in the 11th and 12th. And at the same time, a lot of my IB exams, I mean, assignments, like the extended essay, the business management, IAs, were about the business. So that's actually how I started getting involved in the business and understanding how it works. Um, and I think that's given me a really unique perspective and opportunity to actually give back to the business now that I am much older, because I have started understanding both sides at a very early age. I was not only a student at 14, but I actually started at least understanding the business, if not working for the business, in the 11th standard.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Wow. So, like, the crux of your role is essentially innovation, right? Generally, what happens when people propose change, especially when nothing is broken, the human tendency is resistance, right? People will probably say no, because why are you suggesting something when nothing is broken? Have you experienced that at Advice? Because your role is in innovation and you have to propose changes. And how do you approach this dilemma? Because Advice has grown so well over the past 3 decades, and you still want to grow even more. So, how do you approach this, dilemma of proposing changes that might initially face resistance, but eventually you think it can put Advice at a better position?
Yeah, that question is so real. I actually learned that the hard way. It comes very natural to you when you say human tendency, but as someone in the ecosystem, I did not expect any resistance when I entered full time. I thought I am coming in with all this knowledge and experience, thinking of advice throughout my study abroad journey. I'm going to come back and change this and change that and change, a bazillion things. And yeah, then I realized that, oh my God, no, I cannot so simply do that, because the organization exists and there's so many people involved and there's so many processes involved, and it's amazing. It's built to work, right? And yeah, so what I've experienced is that I just have to be a little patient about that. I cannot really change something that's working, and what if it doesn't work, or what if there are more speed bumps, right? So what I've learned is to just deal with it with like patience and take one step at a time. And yeah, initially, although it was hard for me because of the resistance, but what I've learned is that there are ways to work around it. It's not
Mm,
like I cannot change anything. I just cannot change everything at once.
mm,
And that's
mm,
what I'm slowly incorporating with as my, as head of innovation. I am taking one or two projects at a time, and I try to innovate within that. And I think the title comes with that, with at least with the people I'm working with within the organization. whenever I'm speaking to them, they expect, okay, like where we are talking about maybe doing this one thing in a new way, and we will try
Mm,
it out, and it's okay if it doesn't work at first. We will then build processes to make it work. It's okay if we fail, say, the
yeah.
first time, but we have round two, we have round three, and then we will perfect it and get better at it as we learn. And yeah, it's amazing to have the freedom to be able to do that, to try things and fail and still not. Still have a company that's working.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the key here is not proposing wide scale changes that might deter some of your existing employees, and more about communicating with them and trying to get them on board, as opposed to showing them that you are the one who knows everything. I think that's very important, right?
Yeah, you're very right. I think communication plays a big role in this, and showing them that I'm a team player and I'm doing this for the better of everyone. And it's not like I'm a know-it-all. I don't.
Mm,
I think that's not the right way to go about it. I think you're very right about that. It's so important to communicate with them, and I think that's what takes time. And
mm.
that's why I said again, patience is so crucial to the whole process of change.
I think I mean, we did talk about advice employees. So my next question is about them. You have grown up around many of the company's long-standing employees. How have you really navigated the transition from being a member of the Sukhwani family to becoming their leader in a way? Did this create challenges, or was it more of a natural progression?
So I think because it's such a large organization, we have over 400 employees. I think not everyone is going to accept this change. So I've gone about building my own systems. I feel like there's always going to be some people who view me as the father, the Squani family son, and that's okay. I'm okay with that now. But there are so many people in the organization that have really opened their arms and supported me, and like they advocate for my ideas, and they help me with it, and help me understand processes that maybe I wasn't aware about. Um, so I think it's been wonderful getting to know the employees in that way, and actually, you know, that's helped me tremendously moving forward. And another thing that has helped me is also building my own team within the organization.
Mm,
Because what I've experienced is if I'm bringing new people and new employees into the organization, they might not have the same bias that
mm.
the like our employees do have, and that's what's helped me really move without friction. I've started building my own teams and working with them more freely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I'd like to talk a little bit about your relationships with your partner universities in advice. Can you briefly sum up for us how you have managed to build such long-term relationships with so many universities and education partners?
I think it's time. It's time political changes, like we were talking about earlier, because we faced visa issues with Australia, we pivoted to UK. Australia was already built, and then we had the time to build the UK portfolio, and so on and so forth. So I think it's like expanding the team and having other like so many people work on different parts of it, which is how we've kind of grown our portfolio and now how we manage it. But yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
continue to just what does that answer your question?
So I just want to know that, do you face challenges while maintaining these relationships? Could you talk us through some of that and how you really overcome them?
So in maintaining these relationships, I think it's definitely challenging because now we've created such a large portfolio, and especially since we are a family business, we are budget constraints exist, so we
Mm,
cannot just keep traveling all over the world to maintain these relationships. But what we do is we attend these large conferences.
Hmm.
Like I go every year to NASA. This year it's in San Diego in May. And that's how we kind of maintain our relationship. So at this conference, it's one of the largest education conferences in the world. We meet a lot of our partners. And that's how we maintain, that's how we keep in touch. And of course, another thing that has evolved over time in general about the industry is a lot of universities now have teams in India. So
Hmm.
they work closely with our teams. And yeah, so that's how we kind of maintain our relationships with so many universities.
Okay. Next, I'd like to ask you a question about your day to day. I want to know how do you really structure your time between working in the business, that is day to day operations, versus, say, working on the business, strategizing for the future, understanding what new approaches to use, whether it is a software or whether it's an approach to building new partners. So, strategy versus operations, how do you see it? And is it always, or does it depend on what the next few months look like?
So I think how I divide my time with this is essentially strategy meetings are with the family.
Mm,
So I have lunch, everyday lunches with family, and that's the
mm,
time where we are either solving issues that are existing within the business, or we are
mm,
communicating about strategy.
mm,
But the best way we deal with this, and the answer I have for you is communication again.
mm,
Constant communication about, because there's so many departments, there's so many things to take care of, there's always room to grow. And it's how you divide that communication that is important. So lunchtimes is definitely that side of things where I can strategize and take few issues forward. And
mm,
yeah, then after lunch, I go about actually managing my teams, where
mm.
I break it off into one-on-one meetings or team meetings. And yeah, mornings is where I take my own time and do my work where I'm not meeting anyone.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to shift our focus now to something a little bit more specific because I'm a product marketer. I'm super fascinated by marketing in different industries, different departments. So I'd really like to know, having followed your journey really closely, I know that attending events, fairs, conferences, conducting seminars in schools and colleges are like essential facets of your outreach initiatives. So I want to know, do you see the potential to innovate in this space? And how do you think this part of your job will evolve over the next few years?
This is one of my favorite spaces to innovate in because it's the one time where we are directly in touch with our customers at our events, at our fairs.
Mm,
And
mm,
I take it upon myself to at least have two or three new things that we are trying every time we have an event. And I love
mm,
that. And just to name a few things that I have brought into our events is one, giving free baggage tags to our students, um,
mm,
giving stickers, like having more Gen Z kind of stickers, which, like, for to quote one of our stickers, it says "Delulu is the Silulu." Uh, so having fun stuff like this, where we are constantly giving our students things so that they remember advice when they go home. We don't want them to just come attend our fairs, talk to students, and then just like go home and go to some other consultant. Like we want to make them remember us. So these are one two ways that we have, which is the concept of giving. Uh,
mm.
another Another new concept that I brought recently in our February event was the use of virtual reality. I got the
Oh.
Quest 3 into our events and I made a whole Excel sheet of university videos that students can actually experience as if they are in the university. And yeah, that was a massive hit. I think it's a great way to get students excited about their future journey if they can actually see where they're going to be going. Um, yeah, so I've done like I said, every fair I choose one or two ways in adding new things to our fairs, and I love it.
So you did mention Gen Z, and I'd like to move our focus to that because I have also spoken to consultants in advice more than 10, 12 years back. And I would imagine that the way they've had to communicate over the past 4, 5 years with Gen Z is probably a little different to what we experienced back then, which was a charm. Like I still owe it to advice for helping me go to the UK for my masters. But anyway, coming back to the topic, what are your thoughts on that? Um, you having been a student yourself as a millennial to seeing students now in Gen Z speaking to your consultants, what are the changes you see now?
I feel like like this generation wants everything much more quicker, and I feel like that not only brings changes to our counseling process but the entire industry, because
Mm,
now information is readily quickly available online, but what they
mm,
need help with is actually figuring out what, like verifying that information. Is
mm,
this actually accurate? Is this blog I read true about this uncertainty in this country or whatever it is? They
mm,
need more. It's more of a service industry now where they, like, the counselors are playing a bigger role than just educating the students about the countries and the universities. They're
mm,
having to deal with a lot more, like it's more counseling oriented. It's much more service oriented. They have to
mm.
be quicker with their WhatsApps, with their phones. We have
Yeah.
introduced, an instant counseling feature where a student can just come and go on our website and immediately be connected to a counselor. They don't have to schedule anything. So these are one or two processes that we've created for the instant Gen Z audience. And lastly, like I said, it's not only our organization, it's the entire industry. Even universities are having to, reply to us much more, like promptly, about
Mm.
admissions, about any issues that question our questions that students have. So these are the two, three things that I'm kind of noticing in this industry.
Okay, great. So now moving back to marketing, um, I wanted to know your approach to digital marketing in advice, more specifically paid ads. Is that something that advice goes big on? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so paid ads is very important for us as a
Mm,
business, because the way I look at it is, in one perspective, we are an events company. We do
mm,
over 100 events a year, and we need to constantly be connected to our customers, to students. So paid ads is a big part of that. We regularly do it for almost all of our events, and it's a big part of our marketing budget.
okay. And are you more present on Google or Instagram? What do you see has better results?
So I'm not personally on taking care of this, but from the general perspective, I feel like Google gives us more accurate results
Mm,
than Facebook and Meta. Facebook and
okay.
Meta is, in my opinion, more about brand awareness rather than conversions, and
Okay.
Google is more about conversions. And I think that correlates back to the medias themselves, right? Like
Mm,
a person going on Google will type something like study abroad. Their intentions
mm,
are to go abroad, or
mm,
to at least know more about it. But when it comes to Instagram, Facebook, they necessarily don't even have to type anything. but they will just get an ad while watching a story or on their feed. And I feel that's the real reason behind why Google gives us more conversions than Facebook.
Okay. Cool. So we are nearing the end of our chat, Tushar. I just have a couple of questions for you left. The first one being, what would you like to tell other next generation family business members who are probably trying to drive innovation while at the same time having to ensure that they honor the legacy? What would you like to share?
My advice is be persistent yet patient at the
Mm,
same time. Use both as a strategy because persistence is required to to make change, but patience is as important as persistence.
lovely. I'll quote that. And finally, like I'm asking every guest on this show one final question, which is, can you please give a recommendation for our viewers? Could be anything, a book, a show, a movie, a podcast, something that you're watching.
Sure, sure. So it's this book called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek,
Okay.
and it's one of my favorite books and concepts created by Simon Sinek, which is he compares uh, life to be he says life is an infinite game. So, for
Mm,
example, basketball or football is a finite game where there are certain rules
mm,
where like if you score a goal within 90 minutes, 11 players on the pitch, there are proper rules that are defined. But business and life, there are no real rules, right? Like everyone just
mm,
decides their own rules. Like, okay, I have the most revenue, that's why I'm the best company in this industry or whatever. And they decide that at a point of time. And that could be say 2025, but in 2026, that can completely change. That same business can go bankrupt, and it doesn't matter anymore. So it's the concept of the infinite game, and I think it just tells you to look at life in a longer, broader perspective. And I think yeah, that's what I would recommend to your viewers.
cool, cool. I'll also check that out. Thank you so much for your time, Tushar. And I wish you all the best for all your events coming up over the next few months. I know it's going to be very busy. So I look forward to chatting with you in the near future again.